All right. It's a great day in South Florida. It's Chris Igoe, living in South Florida. We are doing big things. We are getting stuff done. And it is Sunday. It is, I don't know what day it is. I actually don't know what day it is. It's unfortunate, but totally irrelevant because it doesn't matter what day it is. It does matter, however, what's going on in the market right now. Now, this video is going to flip the script. It's going to blow your mind, and I don't want to oversell the content or myself, but it's impossible for me not to, because everything I'm about to say to you is 1000% true, and I'm certain you have not heard it or thought about it this way before. So, right now, I am sure you know, and you have heard, that we are in an extreme seller's market, and there's no inventory of homes for sale, right? And if you look at the data, it certainly supports that statement. That is a true statement. There is not a lot of homes for sale. There is tremendous demand. One of the gifts and blessings that, so let me, before I go into this, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're old to the channel, welcome. And my intent with this channel is to create the most immersive experience for you so that you know exactly everything there is to know about living in South Florida before you decide to move here or relocate. Or if you're here already, then you're familiar with, and if you're here already, I mean, South Florida is a massive, landmass. I got to find a more elegant way to say that, but it's such a large place that, you could be moving from Dade County, from Broward County, from Monroe County, from anywhere other place in any other place in the state. The state is super long, north of 500 miles, so you might not know the area real well. So my intent with this content is to showcase what living in South Florida is really like, but also to add my opinion or thoughts on really anything that's going on in the market. So, if you have a content request, or question to ask, then please do that. You can leave a comment down below. You can obviously reach out to me directly. The numbers are within the content, and they'll be in this video, as well as my email address. So shoot me a text. However you want to communicate is fine. We will, and I will respond. And I will honor the request as soon as I possibly can, and answer your question as soon as I possibly can. So for the fastest service, just call me. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter how you connect. I will get to you. Now, back to what's going on right now, right? So if you look at the numbers and you listen to the narrative, and you pay any attention to what's going on, I'm sure it's the same in your market too, where you live. The truth is there's not a lot of homes for sale. There is tremendous competition. My frustration and experience, and I'll share this with you, the viewer, because many of you have hired me to help you find your dream home and dream lifestyle, is we're frustrated. This has been a horrible experience for many people, because every home they find, especially in the Canyons communities, which is where I'm going today, I'm going to focus on Canyon Trails. I'm going to share with you all of the models of homes that exist, and there's a reason for that. So I'm going to showcase and highlight what the models are and what the inventory is, but then blow your mind as to where the opportunity is, because I was just as shocked as you will be when I figured it out. Now, I figured it out only because I needed to solve the problem for my buyers, which is they want to be here. I've done such a good job showcasing and highlighting what it's like to live in South Florida, specifically in certain communities, that when people who are ready to buy a home come to town and tour, and they say, hey, Chris, we must live in Canyon Trails, I have to find them a home to live in or buy. And open house, Shirley Segura, we're going to be seeing you here shortly. So we're going to we're gonna check that out too. So this is gonna be a deep dive. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I'm not gonna make a commitment that it's going to be a short piece of content, but it is going to absolutely give you more information than you ever have considered before, and it's going to empower you to make the best decisions that you can for yourself and for your family. So right now, I started on Lions. I drove by a couple of the other canyon communities. Now we're pulling into Canyon Trails, and I've done tons of content in here, so don't sleep on the playlist. I'm not going to go to, we're going to try to stay on topic, but if you're interested in learning about Boynton Beach, Canyon Trails, or any other city or subdivision, then just check out the playlists. And if you're totally new to the area and have no clue about anything but want to, then opt in for our free city/relocation guide, and it's going to tell you everything you want to know about every city in South Florida, and then we'll go from there, right? Okay, so back to the subject at hand. Lots of you have hired me. Lots of you want to be in Canyon Trails specifically, and other communities specifically. And everybody's frustrated by the process, right? You've got cash, you've got financing, you're good to go, you're willing to pay and do whatever it takes to get what you want, and then we find it, and there's 50 other contracts. And I'll speak to the most recent example. One, I know everybody in here. I know all the listing agents. I've got relationships with everyone. So when I know the listing agent for a property, if it's not my listing, chances are I've got a good relationship with them, and I have a little bit of a competitive advantage versus somebody who doesn't, right? I know them. They want to do a deal with me. They know that if I bring a contract, that contract's going to close, and the job for them is going to be very easy. We're going to do everything that we need to do to make their job very, very, very easy, and we'll do all the heavy lifting. So, and they know that our clients are approved or whatever, and they know that they can purchase the home, and they know there's not going to be any games played or any of those things. So, so all that being said, again, who you hire is very important. I'm right now driving past my house to just kind of give you an idea. Right now we're in the estates section of Canyon Trails. Now, Canyon Trails and almost every GL community is built out similarly in that they're built in phases. There are different sections within the community, and each section is for a certain type of buyer, right? Now, when they built these homes, this was finished in 2015. The market was very different in 2015. The price points were very different in 2015. And so there are smaller homes, there are smaller lots, there are 0 lot lines, there are one-story homes, there are ranch-style homes, there are not multi-story, there are 2-story homes that exist in the community. And some are on the lake, some have more land, some have less land. There's all kinds of different product for different price points specific to the market environment in 2015, right? Since then, what's happened? Everything, you already know what's happened since then, right? So the truth is, the homeowners in here, almost every single person who bought in here is sitting on a ton of equity. They bought low, and they'd love to sell high. So great. But with that in mind, there's only 2 homes that are for sale right now in the market, or in Canyon Trails, and they're going to sell instantly. I know the list. You can even see the open house is slammed, right? That's not unusual. So it is normal. It's the new normal, but it is 100% true that any listing that comes on the market in Canyon Trails is going to have multiple offers if they price it right. And again, you can mess this up as a listing agent. You can let the seller think they're playing the lottery and make a mistake. And I've seen that happen. I've seen someone come in, and I'll speak to this here shortly, where they overprice the home, which again, they may actually get to that value at some point here in the near future. But at the time, it was just an insane price. So they listed at 1.9. and it sat on the market for a year. When they dropped it to 1-1, they had multiple offers. It bid the price higher, and I was fortunate enough to have a client to be able to pull the trigger and buy that home. Now you may say, well, whoa, 1.2, that's crazy. Well, I knew it wasn't. I knew it would, when I say I knew, I guess I don't know anything, but I was pretty certain that based on the improvements and the upgrades they made in the property and the status of the market conditions, that it was very likely to appraise higher, which it did. So my buyers love me. They got the home, they beat out 2 other contracts, and this all happened in less than 24 hours, and they're sitting on instant equity of over 100K, right? So win-win. I'm not gonna let you make a stupid decision. I wouldn't ever encourage anybody to make a decision that I wouldn't make. And although I'm not a fiduciary, and neither is any other realtor out there, I do feel the burden of a fiduciary responsibility. I'm not going to make anybody, I'm not ever going to push anybody to make a decision that they don't want to, that they can't afford. So we're always going to have crystal clarity on what that looks like. Are you going to go, pal? Hello? Buddy? Little honk honk? There you go. All right. Don't like to be aggressive and honk at people in the neighborhood, but if you're going to sit there all day looking at your phone, then you're going to get a honk. Okay, so we're driving and touring through the community. We drove past the open house. You saw that there's a ton of people that are there. That's not surprising. But it's a buyer's market. Well, Chris, how could you possibly say, you know what, I'm going to start from the beginning of the community. I'm going to drive down every street and showcase every single possibility that exists within Canyon Trails. And the reason for that is, although these homes are not for sale on the market, every single homeowner in here is thinking about selling. And that's true every place. And I'd make the argument that exists everywhere on the planet, or at least within the United States. Every single homeowner that owns a home right now is thinking about selling due to the fact that the values have increased so much in such a short period of time. But they don't know where they'd go next. So that's a problem, right? So how do you, and this is where I've learned a lot over the last few years, where we've had plenty of opportunities to put deals together, but the sellers, they had no place to go. Now, there are traditional routes to find and unlock that inventory, and I've talked about them before. All right, so we're at the entrance of the community. I'm pulling into this little parking lot that's over here. This is for guests. It's also for parents who are dropping their kids off at the bus stop and they want to wait for their kids or pick them up or whatever it is. They can do that right here. The kids are going to be underneath that little structure, and they're going to be out of the rain or out of the sunshine or whatever it is, and that's where they're going to wait for the bus stop. Now, I talked about the sections that exist within the community. So the section that I'm pulling into right now was the first phase of the development, and I'm going to go down each street and talk about what it's like. I'm going to highlight the model homes that exist, because there are lots of different models that exist. Now, they're not for sale right now. I've got buyers who want to buy in here right now, and they've wanted to buy in here for the last 2 years. And I've done the traditional things that any real professional realtor should be doing. Doesn't mean they do it. In fact, almost nobody does it. But we've done it consistently at a high level for a long time, but we've done it the old school way up until recently. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, cold prospecting the neighborhood and calling them up and saying, hey, we've got a buyer who wants to buy your home, is not as effective as other methods, which I've since figured out, which deploy video and a million other things that you probably don't care about. But what I can tell you is I have found a way that is most optimal to capture people's attention, have them, just like you found me and opted into whatever you opted into, they've done that too. So I've got shoppers that are looking in Canyon Trails. I've called the neighborhood for however long I've called the neighborhood, looking to unlock that inventory. And how many conversations have I had with sellers that are thinking about selling that route? Very few. Recently, as I've grown, as I've developed, as I've become more tech savvy, as I've become more video savvy, I found better ways to do that are much more optimal. And I only recently deployed it in here to test it. And so again, there's 2 homes for sale and nobody knows what's up. That's Randy Tanner. Randy Tanner is the, he's a Canyon Trails resident. He is also the owner of Living Proof Real Estate Photography, which is the best real estate photography company that's out there. So shout out to them and to Randy. All right, so we're in the cul-de-sac. We're looking at these different homes. I'm going to talk about the models here shortly, but I want to really go deep on the fact that there's no inventory. There's 2 homes for sale, but I know for certain that everybody who owns a home is thinking about selling. So how do I connect with them and solve their problem so that you can get what you want? I had to do a lot of work to make that happen, but I figured it out, right? So since I deployed my new technique and my new strategy, in less than 24 hours, I've identified 9 homeowners in the community who are thinking about selling. And of those 9, 3 of them are really very serious. And if we can make it happen for them, they would sell. The big question is, how do they get what they want? Because there's no homes for sale. Well, it's the same strategy that I used with them to get their attention and solve their problem works everywhere. Now, the old school method of cold calling or circle prospecting or whatever, does that work? Sure. Is it effective? No. Is my way better? A bazillion %, as evidenced by, a year of cold calling has yielded nothing other than some, relationship building. But less than 24 hours of the new method with utilizing video and a bunch of other things, I got 9 people who are thinking about selling and open to the idea and open to everything that I want so that you can get what you want. Now, of the 9, as I mentioned, 2 sent me pictures of their home instantly, which tells me they're really close to making that decision and making it happen. Now, these sellers aren't stupid. They're not going to do an off-market deal with a buyer who, they're not going to settle for less than market rate. But if I can provide a solution that gets them market rate without any of the hassle or the cost or the stress or the whatever that exists when selling, that is a massive value proposition that they're interested in. So please understand, the benefit to that is, if we were to do it that way and they get what they want, you get what you want, and you don't have to compete with the market dynamics that are out there right now, this is a major win because you're not going up again. So you are going to pay market value, but you're not going to be challenged by 30, 40, 50, all the people that are at that open house, all the rest of the market that exists that's here locally, but also across, around the planet, around the world, around the country, none of that is going to be threatening your ability to buy the house, the competitive market. And that is a major effing win. So that is how we're doing it moving forward. Now, what I can't guarantee in terms of what it looks like from the timing perspective, I don't know how soon they're going to want to make that happen. I don't know what those terms are going to be, and I don't necessarily know what the product or the inventory is going to be. I just know that right now there are 2 homes for sale, which will be sold by the end of today. The status might not change in the MLS today, but I can promise you they'll be under contract today. And there'll be multiple offers that bid the price higher and all those things. So do you want to have to suffer through that experience if you can bypass it completely? No, you don't. So again, there's 2 homes for sale in here. That means it's a seller's market, right? No, it's a buyer's market. And it's because every other home, the hundreds of other homes that are in here, every one of them is thinking about selling. So I can provide a solution for them in helping them find what they want the same way I did it with them in here, wherever it is that they want to be. What I can't control is what that timeline looks like. So it could be a fast timeline, it could happen instantly, or it could take months or potentially years. But I doubt years, because everybody wants to capitalize on the market now. So it's probably more like a 3, 6, 9 month window, which may align with what you want to begin with. So it's just a longer term process. Now I'm driving through all of the community, right? I don't think I've ever done it this way before. So this is another section of the community. And all right, I hope what I've said so far is valuable. I hope it makes sense. I hope it's answering your questions at a high level. I hope it's providing the solution that you need to get what you want, because if you're at the mercy of whatever the market presents, then you are going to be faced with dealing with the competition that nobody wants to deal with if we can circumvent that, right? So how do we solve the problem for the people thinking about selling? We find the solution for them the same way we're finding it for you. And it's through my aggressive method of all the other things that I don't want to talk about now. But all right, so here we go, coming up to a cul-de-sac. So what you're going to find in here as far as inventory is concerned, you're going to find homes that depending on their location on the street, depending on their location within the subdivision, some are going to have, like for example, if you're on a cul-de-sac, you're going to have a pie-shaped lot. You're going to have more green space. There are sections within the estate part of the subdivision that are going to have that too. But for the most part, the front yard is going to be not a lot of green space. Now, there are some exceptions and whatever, but for the most part, new homes that are built in, when I say new, again, this was finished in 2015, newer communities aren't going to have a lot of land, because when they developed the communities, there wasn't a lot of land to begin with. So they want to max out the highest and best use of the land. So typically what you're going to find is smaller front yards, and in some cases bigger backyards. Some are going to be on the lake, some of them are going to have preserve views, and some of them aren't. Some of them are going to be next to another home. And it just is what it is. So if this is where you want to be, you know what it is, and I'm being fully transparent on what that looks like. But this is a highly desirable place to live. It is a friendly community. It is welcoming. It is all the things that most people want when they're moving here, but they're stuck because they want to be here and there's no homes for sale. So I'm solving that problem. It's just a longer term play. All right. So you can see some of these people have guests over. There's not a lot of parking space. So depending where you're at in the neighborhood, you may have to park on the street. You may have to park at the clubhouse parking lot. You may have to figure it out however you figure it out, but pros and cons of everything, and I'm telling you, warts and all. So the schools that exist for Canyon Trails or any of the Canyon developments, you're going to be zoned for Sunset Palms, which is the best elementary school in Palm Beach County. That's not my subjective opinion. That's just how it's ranked. It's 10 out of 10. The middle school, it's zoned for, oh dear God, I want to say Woodlands. I'm almost positive, but I've been doing so many videos here that I could be confusing names, and I unfortunately do that sometimes, but I'm 99.9% sure that's what it is. As far as public schools are concerned, however, not for long, because they're building a new middle school. I drove past it on the way in here, and they've already broken ground, so that's going to be up and running for next year. So middle school, it's going to be the best middle school in Palm Beach County, and it will be Sunset Palms Middle. And that's what it is. So as far as high school is concerned, you are zoned for Olympic Heights. Olympic Heights is in West Boca. It's further away. The middle school and elementary school are less than 2 miles. So Olympic Heights is a great school. I think it's ranked, I think Great Schools ranks it 8 out of 10. I could be wrong, it may be 7. I don't know how they come up with those rankings, and I'm not trying to talk out both sides of my mouth. I just really don't know, because their test scores are, I want to say 8 out of 10, and their college readiness rank is 8 out of 10. Again, I don't know where they come up with these rankings, or how they grade or score the or track or any of those things. I do know plenty of people who went to school there that say it's a great school and their kids love the experience. So we're zoned for Olympic Heights. Not for long, because they just built a new high school that's less than, I may have got the mileage wrong. Olympic Heights is West Boca. I don't know how far that is in terms of mileage. I do know that it is a pain in the ass to drive there relative to the new high school, which is on Lyons Road. It's less than 4 miles away, brand new, incredible. And so you got the 3-headed academic monster, and not, well, that's the wrong way of describing it, but you're going to have 3 of the best, newest schools that are in Palm Beach County. So win, win, win. Your kids are going to a great school, no matter what grade they're in. And of course, you've got all the academic state colleges that are exemplary too. So I won't go into all those. The most geographically desirable would be Florida Atlantic University, which is great. And that's where I went to school. And also my kids go to school at their elementary school, which is A.D. Henderson, which also has a middle school and high school, and it's on the FAU campus. That is a phenomenal school, and that's the only reason we're going to school there is, in my estimation, it is the equivalent of a private school education, for public school cost. And if they're invited into the high school, then they graduate with a 2-year degree from FAU as a high school senior. So huge competitive advantage if they demonstrate they are academically inclined when that comes to be time to make that decision, which is no time soon, because my kids are 7 and 8. But for now, they love the elementary school. I was just there this week and volunteered to be in the class and had an amazing experience. I can tell you from experience, because I did the same thing over at Sunset Palms, which again, this was before the pandemic, so you got to have the opportunity if you wanted to. Since the pandemic, those opportunities are few and far between, although they're starting to come back, as evidenced by I just went to school. But I can speak from experience that the teachers and the administration and the school at both Sunset Palms and A.D. Henderson is incredible. It is we feel so blessed to have had both of those solutions for our kids that it's just incredible. And I suspect you'll have that same experience should you decide that you want to live in the Canyons enclave. And again, it's not just trails, it's also springs, lakes, isles. It's an enclave of different communities. All right, so I'm going down each street. I'm talking about whatever it is I'm talking about, but what I haven't talked about yet, which is very important and will be part of this video, because again, I can make the connections with the people who are thinking about selling, but I can't control what home they have for sale, right? So it's important to know what the models of homes that there are in here. I'm thinking as I'm talking. I don't know if that made any sense. I want you to know what the models are, the home models are that exist within Canyon Trails. Like right here, you can see you've got a one-story home next to a two-story home. So you've got a ranch style versus a two-story. And there's a lot of people who only want ranch style homes, one floor. There are some people that only want two-story homes. There's some people who only want whatever it is that they only want. I can't control what the opportunity will be, but what I can control is what all the home models are and share them with you so that you know. And that, I think, is some pretty valuable content. So we turn down this street and we're going to go over here and showcase the clubhouse a little bit. And before I go into the models, I want to reiterate why it's a buyer's market in spite of everything that you've ever heard up until this point. Because on paper, it's definitively a seller's market. So Chris, how could you possibly be so irresponsible to say it is a buyer's market? Well, thanks for asking. I'm going to tell you. Every single person that I've helped over the last 2 years purchase homes in here, and there are plenty of you, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity and blessed that we were able to connect with you through YouTube and then help you find a home. Every single one of them, when they were buying, said, Chris, we're at the top of the market. And again, I'm not naive, I'm not stupid, I understand how markets work, and at some point things will slow down, and at some point they may even go in the opposite direction, and it's possible that the whole world will go to a hell in a handbasket and the market will be cut in half or go to zero. But I've been hearing that for a very long time. And so those buyers who thought they were buying at the top of the market a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, are all sitting on significant equity. So while you might not believe it, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, I'm not here to sway you either way, I don't see any evidence of anything other than more institutional money coming into the market and buying homes. So yes, there are risks that are inherent in any market because that's what a market is, but it's also factually true that the big money, the smart money, the institutional money, they are not slowing back or stopping anything as it relates to deploying their capital into real estate to, in my opinion, capitalize on the inflation and the appreciation and the increasing rents so that they can go out there and make more money moving forward. Okay, so it's a buyer's market because we're going to just flip the script and work with a new mentality, right? So now, assuming you, and to be clear, I am not suggesting that you buy a home as an investment vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, unless you're an investor, and that's a different conversation altogether. But if you're buying a home to live your best life and live your best life now, then, and you can afford to make the financial choices that you want to make, then I don't have any fear of market dynamics because you are accepting that you can, so you're understanding what the financial obligations are and you're okay with them and you intend to live here for the next 10 years, then I would say there's no risk, because even if the market gets cut in half or goes to zero, which is impossible, you're going to make your money back over time given all of the other dynamics that exist, which are all true. But most likely what will happen is you're going to benefit from the continued appreciation that may slow down, but is still very inherent in the market. And that's what I think happens. So today, for example, my buyer who bought the home at the highest value ever, appraised 100K higher, and I can tell you now all the other homes that are for sale are at minimum 1.2. So or more. So the market goes up, the market goes down. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Nothing. Do you want to be out of where you're at and into the freedom, the lifestyle, the happiness that exists here in South Florida? If the answer to that is yes, then make hay while the sun is shining. All right, So I'm going down each street. Now again, I'm doing this in Canyon Trails, which is obviously where I live. We can do this in every community, and we can find what you want in every community, as long as you know where you want to be. If you have crystal clarity on where you want to be, then I have just 1000% convinced myself and proven myself through what I've done in here that this method of generating opportunities for people thinking about selling, they're very thankful for it. In fact, they're thrilled. So doesn't matter that there's no inventory and no homes for sale. We can find the opportunity for you if you know where you want to be. What I can't control is the timeline. That is, there are other moving parts that exist. But if I can solve the problem, get you what you want, get them what they want, then everybody's happy. And now I'm a hero. Hello. Airball. I'm only kidding. All right, so what have I talked about? I've talked about a lot of things. Now, I think it should be obvious through the 360 cam how pretty the neighborhood is. It's 84 degrees out. It really is hot. The humidity is, pretty high. So it says 84. It feels hotter than that. And now we're in the estate section. I know I've driven through this before, but why not look at it more? Because I got more to share about, right? Now let's talk about the models that exist. Now these are in no particular order. And yes, I will pop in examples into the video so you get a sense of what that's like. But the inventory or the models that exist, they just are what they are, right? So there are some smaller homes, there are some bigger homes. That's just the way it goes. But as you can see, you've got 1-story homes, 2-story homes, 0 lot line in some areas, not 0 lot line in other areas. You've got lake views in some places. You've got the sound barrier to the turnpike, which is far enough removed to where you don't hear it. But that exists in the neighborhood too, because we are bordered by the turnpike on this side. Now, I've lived on this street, and I'll point out the house that we used to live in. It is to our left, right here. We lived in that community, or we lived in that house for a period of time, and one of the things I was afraid of was its proximity to the turnpike. Would that noise be a distraction? Would it bother me? The answer is no. You don't hear any noise inside the house whatsoever, and I can't tell you that you don't hear any noise when you're outside. I can tell you it's minimal, and it tends to be really kind of only at rush hour, but it occasionally you'll hear something. My experience is it kind of turns into white noise, and you just learn to tune it out, and it's not a distraction whatsoever. But, pros and cons, it is what it is. You can see this beautiful lake over here, and it's not a mosquito pit. It's not, and over here, same thing. The lakes are stocked with fish, so it's pretty cool that you can go out there and go fishing, catch and release. I would not encourage anybody to eat those fish. I mean, you could, I guess, if you wanted to, but don't. And so people sometimes ask about alligators. Are there alligators? Well, yeah, there are alligators in the Everglades. Is it possible that one of them could make its way into our lake? Yeah, it's possible. It is very unlikely, and it almost never happens, but it can happen. When it does, well, what happens is inevitably now you can see these are much bigger homes. They're on a cul-de-sac. They've got much bigger backyards. This is the estate section within Canyon Trails. But if there was to be an alligator, and so to give you more clarity on that, I've taken my children on a paddleboard in the lake in my backyard and had a blast. And then the unintended consequence of that was within the Facebook group, which if you want to know if your neighbors are crazy, then just check out any Facebook group for your community and they will confirm it. I say that with love. But But nonetheless, there were like 3 or 4 comments from people telling me I need to get the hell out of the lake because an alligator is going to eat us. I can promise you an alligator is way more scared of me than it, or of a human than it is of, than you are of it. I think I said that right. Yeah, so is it possible there could be a gator? Yeah, it's possible. What inevitably happens is animal control comes in, scoops them up, they're removed, and no harm, no foul. Yeah, I can think of it happening once since I've been here, and I've lived here since 2000, I want to say 18, but my memory is no bueno, so it might have been 17, it could have been 19. But I've been here for long enough to know that there's no situation with alligators, and the mosquitoes are not an issue. I thought they might be, but they're not. So if mosquitoes were really a problem for me or my family, really, if they were a problem for my family, then we would just enclose the pool area with the screen, which is pricey and is going to be the first thing that goes if there's a hurricane. Although what I will say as far as hurricanes are concerned, most of them, I can only think of one that's in my 40 years or 40 plus years of living here, has really done any real damage. And that was Irma, if I'm remembering, or maybe it was Wilma. This is going back a while. Again, my memory is sometimes not the best, but the screen enclosures are going to be the things that get destroyed by the wind first. And outside of that, really everything else is kind of just cosmetic damage. But being as west out as we are, typically there's really not much, well, especially with these homes. These homes are new homes. They've got all the safety features that you'd want. Most of them have impact windows. The ones that don't have hurricane protection, so you're totally protected in the event of a storm. And as you become more comfortable and more acclimated to living in Florida, you know, I'm usually the last person who takes any action around a hurricane, besides the common sense things like we do have a generator, we do have water, but I don't buy into the hype of we're in the cone of death that the media tries to scare you with to sell product. I'm usually the last person to take it seriously, and so far that's governed me. You know, hasn't negatively impacted me, but I probably just jinxed myself. All right, so a lot of talking, lots of teasing the models. Haven't talked about the models, so let's go through the models, right? Now, these aren't in any particular order, and I'm certainly not going to assign a value to any of the homes. What I will say is the community was built in 2015, or was finished in 2015, so there are homes that are in original condition and are in great shape and are well cared for, but they're dated, right? So 2022 styles and tastes are not the same as 2015 or 2010 or 2005 or 1995. But the product itself is great, right? So you might want to do upgrades or improvements if you were to find a original condition property, but many of the homes in here have been completely macked out, or updated, or upgraded. And look at the open house. I'm just going to drive by the open house. So if you want to know the difference between an off-market deal and a property that goes on the market, here's one way of seeing that. You can tell there's a ton of cars here. There's a ton of people waiting outside. I can promise you that this is going to have multiple offers that bid the price higher. It's impossible for it not to. You got people walking up to it. So some of them might be nosy neighbors. I doubt it. Really, it's people that are going to buy that house. And so, oh, that's definitely, I see their name tags. So that place is a zoo. Do you want to have to compete with all of those people, or would you prefer that we just put a deal together with the seller who wants to sell, and vice versa, right? So like, they're going to want a home too. I can do the same thing for them. And it's a longer term play. We all know that, but it's effective and it gets the job done and everybody's happy. before I go into models again, or start to go into models. I had this exact same thing happen with an off-market property, which was unique, right? And so Matt, who you may have seen on some of my videos previously, found me. Him and his wife found me on YouTube. They reached out. They thought they wanted to be in Wellington or Coral Springs or wherever it is they wanted to be, but they weren't thinking about Boynton Beach because they hadn't heard of it, and they certainly weren't thinking about the canyons. When they came to town, I did not show them homes. I toured the communities with them, and within about 3 seconds of being in Canyon Trails, they said, "Hey, Chris, find us the home. We want to live here. That's it." And that's not uncommon. A lot of you have done the same thing. Well, great. What I had, and the timing of it was, there are no coincidences, so thanks to the big man upstairs, but I happened to have an off-market property that the sellers were having some whatever issues they were having, but I knew that I would have that listing on the market within a week. The sellers did not want to go on the market. They wanted me to find a deal off market. And so, you know, timing was perfect, and the key to any investment is pricing and timing. And again, buying a home is not necessarily looked at with the same analytics or mindset of a investment vehicle, but nonetheless, there we were, and I put that deal together off market for Matt, and he got a tremendous deal. Immediately after purchasing that home, he had it appraised for, I want to say, about 150K higher. And since then, the market has done its thing, and now that home is probably 250 higher. It's a buyer's market, and that's what I mean. But it was an off-market deal. The sellers were happy. They got what they wanted. They didn't have to deal with the stress, the aggravation, the whatever. And Matt, you know, was doing cartwheels, and he was so happy with the whole experience that, you know, he works with me. And to just fully talk about that further, he came here knowing nobody. He moved here and his family here from New Jersey. They didn't know anybody. Now he's like the mayor of the community. He knows everybody. His kids have more friends than they've ever had, and it's just it's a great place to live. It's a great family neighborhood, and you'll love it too. All right, so all of this talking and still no talk about what the model homes look like. So here we go. I'm going to go through the list, and again, I'll pop in what they are specifically so that you can see. But you've got, let's see here. Well, right now on the market, you've got a 2 homes for sale. One's $975, the other's $1.2. One has no pool. One has a pool, one doesn't. One's on a lake, one isn't. Okay. $975 is the one that we just drove by. You saw the activity that's in there. It was priced that way to get the maximum value, and I promise you it's not going to sell there. All right, so the models that exist in here, you've got a peninsula model home. It's 4-3, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. It's about 2,300 square feet under air. You've got a Bimini model. It's a 4-3. It's about 2,282 square feet under air. You've got an Aruba model. It's 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and it's about 2,670 square feet under air. You've got an Isabella model. Shout out to Coach Mike and his daughter Isabella, who is one of our really good friends, one of my kids' best friends, but you don't care about that. So it's an Isabella model. It is 4 bedrooms, 4 baths. It's 3,380 square feet under air. You've got an Antigua model, which is 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3,230 square feet under air. You've got a Caribbean model, which is, I've lived in that model before. It is a massive home. It's 6 bedrooms, 5 baths. It's 39, almost 4,000 square feet under air. You've got the Acapulco model, which is, now I'm just driving down the street to show you another canyon community. But GL builds similar models in all these communities, so there will be some upgrades or improvements done. And, you know, some changes will happen. But so in the bridges or 7 bridges or Lotus Palm or Boca Bridges, those homes are going to be different models than what we just saw, but you know, the design, the feel, the layout, GL builds a good product, and their neighborhoods are all kind of built out similarly. There's just you know, in the newer communities, they're newer products and more luxurious amenities. You can see the kids with their fishing poles out there, maxing out South Florida living. All right, so I talked about the Isabella. We're now pulling into another community.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Canyons. Please insert your driver's license into the scanner. Do not insert cracked, taped, or broken IDs into the scanner.
So we're pulling up to Canyon
Trails.
This is the back entrance, not the front. The front is more impressive. Not that this is bad, it's just not as nice. And that's going to be consistent in every GL community that you look at. They've got great, very impressive entrances, exits, and everything else. All right, so the models that exist. So we talked about the Caribbean, 6-bedroom, 5-bath, almost 4,000 square feet under air. I have no patience. I'm not waiting for this. I was hoping to drive you through here, but I don't want to sit there and wait and not be able to talk because of that background music. So if you want to see what Canyon Isles is like, I've already done those videos. Check out the playlists. Okay, so Caribbean model. We got the Acapulco model, which is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath. It is about 3,000 square feet, a little bit more than that, under air. All of these square footages that I'm describing are under air, meaning they have air conditioning. The homes are actually a lot bigger than that number, but the space under air is what is really most relevant, because this is Florida, and you will, you know, you're not going to be hanging out much, I suspect, in the garage. Unless you turn it into a gym and do something like I would do with that. But anyway, so that's the Acapulco model. You got the Jamaica model, which is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,038 square feet. You've got the Charleston Grand, which is 5 bedrooms, 5-bath. It's 3,600 square feet. You've got the Tobago, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's one of the smaller models. It's 1841 under air. And then you've got the Hampton model, which is the model that that's my house, right? And that is a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, and it's 4,000 square feet under air. All right, so I think I'm missing one. The Kingston. Can't forget about the Kingston. If you've got a Jamaica model, then you got to have a Kingston model, right? So shout out to Jamaica and Bob Marley. You could be loved, you could be loved. Is that right? No, 3 Little Birds. Whatever it is, I'm not here to sing. Okay, the Kingston model is a big home. It's 6 bedrooms, 5-bath, 5 baths, 4,675 square feet under air. And I will, again, pop in examples of what the different home models look like. I don't know that I'll be able to find the floor plans to pop them in, but certainly if we get to the process where you're looking to write an offer, we'll figure it out. But that's it, right? So please know that the market in Palm Beach County, if you look at the overall numbers that were just reported, and again, these are not leading numbers, these are lagging numbers. So this is a lagging indicator. The leading indicator would be what I receive on a daily basis, which is inquiries about people or from people looking to buy in South Florida. That number that I track is relentless. It has never slowed down. It has only escalated and increased. There are more people reaching out to me now than ever to buy homes and live here in South Florida. And that's really the only number that I have to measure myself or give you a temperature check as to the status of the market. If that ever changes, I can promise you, I'll be the first person to be talking about it. The market's shifting. The market's rolling over. The market's going down. The market's crashing. If any of those things happen, I'm going to be the first one to tell you about it, because I'm committed to telling you exactly what's happening in real time, period. No spin, no BS, no fluff. It is what it is. The market is insanely competitive, but not for us, because we know that everybody's thinking about selling, right? But if you wanted to know what the actual stats are, right now in Palm Beach County, as of last month, there's 1.2 months of inventory for the county, which is a huge, huge space. That would be the overall market. Within that, there are markets within markets. So now let's drill that down to Boynton Beach. Within Boynton Beach, there is 0.8 months of inventory, meaning it's an extreme seller's market. There's even less homes in Boynton Beach for sale than relative to the year previously, but also relative to the county. Now, if you go down and drill down into subdivisions, which are the markets within the market within the market, that number gets even smaller. So within Canyon Trails, there's less than 2 weeks of inventory. I would make the argument there's less than 2 days of inventory. And you just saw the open house, that thing. The only reason that that number isn't shorter is because the listing agent's smart and keeps the window of time open to pivot everybody to that open house like we just saw. So they create a market within a market, and they create a fear of missing out from all those people that are there, and and they underprice it accordingly, and those people get all fired up and bid each other higher and end up with a sale much higher than $975. So that's a different conversation for a different day. But as far as the overall optics of the market, it's a seller's market. And I'm here to tell you, if we go that route, you are going to be, governed by those numbers. But if we get creative, if we employ some different strategies, then that market becomes a buyer's market instantaneously, because everyone who owns a home in Florida is thinking about selling. And my job is to create the solution and solve the problem at a high level for both them and you. Everybody gets what they want, and I get to look like a hero because I am a hero. And I say that, of course, in jest, but nonetheless, that's what it is. So I hope you found this content valuable. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend. If there's ever anything that we can do to help you, your family, your business, serve and support you at any level, we would love to. If you're even thinking about moving to or living in South Florida, whether it be Boynton Beach, Canyon Trails, or anywhere, we can help and would love to. So please reach out. Questions or comments, leave them down below. Opt into the relocation guide if you want to know about every city. And what else am I? And check out the playlist for content that I've probably already done. And that's, I think, it. Is there anything I should have mentioned that I didn't? I don't think so. So I'm out. Peace.